welcome to Unity Live. I am Brooklin Rayne.
And I'm Emily Ghosh.
We are so excited to be hosting and celebrating today with all of you and bringing forth this beautiful being, Rayania, whom we love and are so excited to introduce you. If you don't already know her, then you're in for a treat. If you do already know her, you're in for a treat. And let's go ahead and share a little bit more about Rayania.
Yes, so Rayania is an intuitive guide, heart alchemist, channel, emissary of the universe. And she brings her multicultural and multidimensional experiences into her work of healing karmic relationships, calling in the sacred relationship, and opening people to their true self and higher dimensions. Rayania is passionate about supporting people to create freedom, peace, and fulfillment in relationships and life. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be able to sit here with both of you and everyone in the platform together across time and dimension.
Yes. And today I feel like in this week brings forth such a, palpable and unique flow of light and energy and expansion. And I know that many felt a big and deep pulsation of source energy flowing through all layers of our bodies yesterday on the 12/12 day of 2022. Are you happy that I got the year right? I had to think about it for a second. I was like, wait. And I feel like it's really sparking such a beautiful ignition of even greater clarity and opportunity. Again, I know we say this all the time, and it's just true all the time, and it just keeps up leveling all the time.
Yeah.
The energies that are coming through, and the opportunities and the invitations to really embody more of our purest and truest self-realization, right? Uniquely to each one of us. And I would just say that, this just feels like such a huge pocket that we're moving into in the next linear month and a half to 2 linear months of even greater mastery and clarity and.
Yes. And so what a perfect time to be having this conversation. I'm so excited to explore all about embodying your creator self and all the work and incredible magnificence that you are sharing and bringing forward. And I'd love to start by hearing a little bit more about your journey and path to the incredible work that you're doing in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, I love asking people this question when I interview them, but I think when it's on the receiving end, it feels a bit interesting. So my path, I would say, actually, I wanted to start I think about 20 years ago, I just had this urge to wanted to travel to Europe. I wanted to move to Europe. I'm originally from Taiwan, Taipei, this very small island called Formosa, like a beautiful island in Portuguese. And I just had this urge to explore the world. So 20 years ago, I really was just, was reading Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. And that was like the ignition, like, okay, this is the universe will help me to move to Europe. So anyway, I was very desperate. I was like really trying all ways. So I would say my journey of a conscious creation, so to speak, even though I was totally unaware of, what this human journey was about, I tried all I can. I came to Europe on myself through working for a technology company, and I knew nothing about technology actually. So it was just a very naive drive. Like I just wanted to come to Europe. I just want to move to Europe. And so then I ended up living in Germany. And as a Taiwanese girl, I was very much raised in this upbringing of Chinese and Japanese culture, sort of like both sides very suppressive. But on the plus side, that I was always trying to make people happy around me. So it sort of really support me to work my way up in the technology field, surrounded by men and all the techie and all these engineers. And so yeah, so I think this journey of exploring what the heart really wants, even though the human does not really understand where it's taking me, I feel it's really what I become more and more aware of, that what this path is about really having that courage to go for things that I don't know why, but I just wanted to experience it. I just wanted to try it and just go for it, have the fear, but feel the fear and do it anyway. So I know there are not many, like specific stories, but it was just like a sequence of events as a young, naive woman, Asian woman, just breaking through to European culture, American Silicon Valley culture, and coming home to myself, like knowing, who exactly am I in this world and what am I here to do. So yeah, I want to stop here.
Yeah, how profound. And, and I feel like as you're sharing, I'm realizing, some of the common threads of this lifetime, right? It's like, I often wondered when I began to awaken and really, the divine alarm, the snooze button broke, right? It was like, okay, there's no going back. You're, go on, girl. Source was like, go on out there and meditate. But prior to that, and sort of within the inner struggle that was the catalyst to coming to that surrender point, I often would have these moments and they'd be brief, and I didn't have any sort of spiritual, I was raised Catholic, and so it's more like organized religion. I didn't have any spiritual references, but there were these moments where I was like, wait a second, how did all of these years of my life just express themselves? You know what I mean? It was like, it was sort of like this felt sense of dream state. And I realized, like, all along the way, I would just have these knowings, similarly to what you're saying. Like I would, I knew that I always wanted to do this and I always wanted to do that. But then there was this part of me, now that I realize it's like my higher self that was sort of like completely unattached to any of it, but yet sort of the witnessing presence and like holding the space to facilitate that trusting and that curiosity and that naivety and that innocence, and just, taking the forward steps. And I think that's such a beautiful part of the transition, right? Of coming into greater levels and layers of your awareness, like of the awakening, of the ascension. And it's unique for everybody, and, with their own blueprint. But it's beautiful because, we know you and we've had the opportunity to experience your potent and profound source embodiment and all the gifts and layers of your gifts and your heart. And I know now everybody here is having the opportunity to experience it as well. And to hear that, that was sort of the pathway that led into how you're embodying now and what you're doing now is so inspiring and exciting, right? Because we don't have to overthink it, right? We don't have to always overthink it and everything. It really is about trusting that feeling, that what is the greatest feeling bubbling up inside right now, and following that, moving in through the fears and allowing that to be the guiding light. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I feel like, because when you just said in the beginning that we are feeling more and more of the source energy flowing through us, and then a lot of things are actually becoming heightened, right? Like the manifestation becomes more instant, whether the thought and, whether the meditation or activation we do, we can feel the energies become so almost like visceral. Than, for me at least, it's like more than before. And I just have this sense that, of course, as a human, we do have a lot of expectation, the plan we wanted to create, but at the same time, to be able to sort of like pump ourselves up to prepare ourselves to take the step toward what is calling us. I think that is also quite a courageous act. And this is, I feel, is what is required of us, you know, to have that courage and also that curiosity, and really just one step at a time to see what is going to, you know, what's going to come our way if we do practice this act of trust, one small step at a time.
Yes. There's so much of your journey that I can relate to. And I feel like so many of us are, taking, bits and pieces of your story and journey. And that's why I feel like, sharing our journeys is so powerful, because we can all learn from each other. And, what I'm taking is just the inspiration and, the dedication to really follow those whispers from your soul, this calling to step out and to explore those curiosities, and to kind of leave behind the linear prescriptive path of success, and really create this own unique way of being and connecting with that which your heart was desiring to explore. And that's so beautiful. And I'd love to really kind of unpack that a little bit for those, talking about embodying your creator self, that journey, like some of, the cornerstones of that, of being able to trust and maybe follow that guidance.
Yeah. So I have this image when we talk about embody our creator self, like, I think it's a picture that many of us see very often, is someone who sits, on top of the earth, and just maybe in lotus seat, and then a lot of energy just coming down, through the galaxy, the universe. And so for me, that is the image of, really allowing more of divine energy into our human body, and of course, different layers of the energy field. And it's, but I think in human language, I would say for me, it means that in order to allow more to come in, my job here is really to create space. So allow more energy to come through and to stay here with me, but not just flow through me. And then just, I go about in daily life and I just get entangled with the politics, or go into supermarket and get panicked because everybody's worried about the prices going up. So I feel it's really about being that conscious self, opening to integrating more of our capacity, different dimensional. Like, I know many of us star seed or directly from source, all this parallel lifetime, we have so much energy and gifts that we can access. But it's while we are doing that, it's really also about allowing us to be curious that what does that mean in real life? When I go into supermarket, what does that multidimensional self mean? And how is my different lifetime as Palladians or Arcturians help me in me creating my project, for example. So, and I think I went through most of my life, in this strive mode. Like, if I think of wanting to create something, I have to work very hard, and then, I have to try to figure it out all by myself, and then lock myself in the room. And when everybody asks me, I say, oh, everything's fine, I'm fine. And then we just like cry by myself in the room, just trying to, oh my God, it's so hard. So I feel like this process of embodying our creative self, it's actually, in simple term, is really to allow ourselves to be human, but also to really open up to that different realm of possibility of how we can create consciously, and how we can actually invite all of ourselves or all of our guides, they are us, right? So to really participate in this now moment. So Yeah, so I would say that is really about the cornerstone, being very conscious and really being open and trusting and become curious, right? I know Brooklyn and Emily, you would say that very often, just become curious, like, oh, what is it? What am I playing right now? What am I thinking? And why is this thing so hard? Why am I feeling so frustrated? And then really allow the human self to work with our different part of multidimensional self and just call everybody in to have have a party, have a discussion, have a afternoon tea party to see, what's going on. How can we create differently?
I love that, because at the seed of, or the pearl of that wisdom just showering through you is that, the less we're in resistance to all of our parts, right? The more we come into that place of greater transparency and acceptance and embrace of every single fractal of our consciousness as unique individuations of source, that have been called in as part of our human experience, our blueprint here. The more we can bring them in, right? Heaven on earth, right? Embodiment. Like, we're not jumping out of our human self, we're jumping more into our human self. And to your sharing, bringing in all the levels and layers of our multidimensional, multiversal selves and cells to bring ourselves into this cohesive one space, right? We hear about it as our monadic template, right? Bringing in, calling in all the parts, celebrating, seeing where there's, room and space to create more relationship, to create more flow, less resistance. A lot of times, we poo-poo on the human, we poo-poo on the human aspects of ourselves. But, I feel like we're here to celebrate that. We're here to understand all the different layers and levels, and curiosity. Yes, it comes through all the time, because really to embody that immaculate childlike curiosity is to embody the purest and the highest divine essence, purest and highest source essence that we are, right? Eternally curious is, for me, I feel synonymous with free of all judgment. Free of all judgment of self, free of all judgment of others, and just literally curious to unravel, to unwrap the infinite gifts, the infinite wisdom, the infinite facets of exploration that there is in every single experience that we have, and in every single layer of ourselves, right? And so to be able to come from that place, I feel like, as in my own journey, and I know, and we talk about this, to stay in that space of curiosity and to not lock ourselves into any finite potential is to open up and be able to create from that place of instant manifestation, and taking our desire and what is most palpable in our heart space as that which we desire to experience as our reality, and put it into motion, right? When we're coming into this more curious and cohesive, free of resistance space. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like the non-judgment is such a key to this, especially as we're really moving to a higher octave of creation. And I would love to hear your perspective on this, but just, I can relate to what you were sharing about kind of that program of feeling like you need to work really hard. That was definitely something that took me a while to work through, and that was ingrained in me. And I have to appreciate it for the beauty that and the gift that it was, And so I feel like it was a journey of like experimentation. Like, maybe I can have fun with this, and maybe I can make it more joyful as opposed to, this strenuous experience. And from there it's like, oh, I'm really enjoying this much more. So I'd love to hear your experience with that, and kind of just how you've moved through the creation process with all of these beautiful initiatives and offerings that you're bringing forward.
Yeah, wow, that's such a good question. before I actually felt like I wanted to bring in another aspect of about human self and personality, because I know in at least in my spiritual journey, you know, a lot of time personality or ego is not to be praised, but actually I felt there was a moment when I realized how important my human self, like, you know, this human vehicle, like this physical body, the way I look, the way I sound, my voice, and my personality is especially curated for me to experience this lifetime. So I think for many, you know, like we sometimes, maybe most of us don't think we are pretty, or we are, you know, like, because we have this paradigm to compare, right? So, and I just wanted to bring the point forward is that, you know, in this process of embodying ourselves, like more of, you know, our expanded version or full version, it's really essential to really get to understand how amazing our personality and the way we look and everything, what we represent actually is so precious, because you know, like before we came here, we chose specifically, I want to be born on this land, to this lineage, to this way of, you know, the parents, the grandparents, so we look specifically, sound this way. And I feel this appreciation of ourself. I mean, you know, for me, I'm still really going through this process as well, to appreciate ourselves with all the good and the bad and ugly and all the beautiful side. That full acceptance of who we are is one of the keys. You know, if we wanted to really more like integrate it, and in order to embody all who we are. And that entails, of course, also non-judgment, and, you know, this, you know, to also break free from the paradigm of comparison, because I think comparison is such a conditioning that I've been working through a lot, like to compare myself with others. And then also, I think in terms of creation, in terms of, you know, if I wanted to start a project, whenever I start to compare, that's when I noticed I would just go downward spiral to a negative emotional state, because then I would lose contact of, you know, why I'm doing this, and how, you know, lose all that contact with inspiration. So yeah, so coming back to your beautiful question, I feel, you know, this creation process, I think, start with connect to myself, like who I am, right? Because I think we do everything because of who we are, whether we are conscious of it or not. And so I think, so the project I've created lately is a online galactic retreat. And I just, you know, organize like amazing people, speakers, spiritual teachers, and just to have a conversation to explore, you know, in practical term, exactly what we are here to do, and how do we embody, you know, become more of our creator self, expanded full version of ourselves. And I feel that it started with myself, because I have to be in full acceptance and fully connected to what really lights me up, what really, you know, what really is it that I am desiring to create. And so from that space, and then, you know, then I feel my work is really to allow myself to peel away the distraction, you know, the distraction of the realistic judgment, like, you know, but this is not realistic, everybody's doing it, and why are you, you know, you're just one more person doing similar things. So, you know, I feel like our job as a creator in all kinds of project or mission is really to allow ourselves to just connect within ourselves and connect to the inner guidance or the higher guidance, however we wanted to see, and just, stay committed, stay focused, and just, I feel, to create space to allow magic to flow through. Because in each moment there lies so many potentials, so many inspirations, and then the force of the universe is working in such a way that is beyond my human understanding. So the biggest challenge for me is really to allow myself to become the spacious me, so that I can allow more of the source energy to flow through me, to guide me as to, what is the next step? What is the next step? Yeah, and trust.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, there's so many foundational building blocks, and sort of guideposts to, what I perceive as the journey of self-realization, right? The full omniscience, all-knowing, I am you, you are me, we are one, we are source. And, and coming into what might be, the grandest expression and embodiment of knowing thyself, as an infinite creator being connected to all infinite creator beings, right? And the journey, I feel like what I'm hearing in this is, there's just infinite breadcrumbs and nuggets and experiences and opportunities for more growth and expansion. And I think one of the things that's so inspiring and that I love about what you're sharing is, well, one is absolutely authentic, and you can feel it. You can feel the authenticity, you can feel the heart-centeredness, you can feel the embodiment of source within your presence and front and center here. So your authentic self. And, and you're sharing and, and allowing us to see the real human experience and journey of it. And that, that we're not meant to wait until we hit, or until we reach this place of enlightenment or ascension to begin this, to allow ourselves the freedom of, of what our divine birthright is as infinite creator beings. It is to find that courage, that immaculate courage, and move into and through the layers of the egoic mind, the personality, which are all beautiful and part of this journey, right? To embrace and allow all parts of ourselves to be part of this journey of creation, and the more and more we create the space, the more and more, space is created for others, and the more is created through the space that we're creating. And, and so it's this beautiful journey of human accepts infinite self, and human meets infinite creator self, and together, that they meld into the oneness and the, and the uniqueness and the juiciness of creation, of coming back into this, creating without limitations, creating without permission, creating without finite potential. And so it's beautiful to witness it, to hear it expressed, and to see your unique blueprint opening up and blossoming, and being that you are able to hold space in such a profound way as well, hosting a galactic retreat, bringing in all these other beings, inviting them into this massive co-creation, and allowing, all that gather in that space to have all different layers and levels and flavors of their journey, and what it means to them to embody their creator self, and what they're bringing forth to assist in way of tools and sharings of their journey. And so I would say, wow, you're incredible. Yeah.
Oh, I see that. Thank you. Yeah. I thank you for sharing that and unraveling that. Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest learning for this new creation is that since we are now integrating more of our source self and all these galactic and intergalactic energies, I feel it's actually quite an invitation for us to whatever way we are called to, is to open the eyes of the possibility or the dimensions. So what I mean is that when I first created the first galactic retreat, it was just simply that intention, that yearning, that I hearing the call, like from Gaia, and I, through a sequence of synchronicity, I did end up sign up a training course, teaching people how to write, the topic and something. And then I just feel sometimes we don't even know we are being guided or being nudged, right, toward what we actually become. Okay, this could be interesting. And as I went through this journey, I realized I was really co-creating not only with Earth Gaia, not only with the speakers, so to speak, but really also like different dimension, like with myself of a different lifetime. I was co-creating with, so many people's higher self, not knowingly, not consciously, but I feel, it is really so fascinating if we are able to open up to the high level of the co-creation, like exactly what we are doing here is not just a simple act of, I'm just gonna call someone, sit down and just speak. What we are doing, like, with the intention from the heart, that field just expands. And it's really across time and dimension, like we don't know which lifetime of ourselves actually come in to assist. And the gifts that we brought through, maybe through different, I don't know why Palladian keep coming today, like Palladians or like Andromedan or Hathors, like, it's all in, that energy is all in our co-creation. And for some people who can see very vividly, they would be able to see, the field actually is so expensive. So what I'm trying to say is that it's really, about opening up to new level of creation. It's not only about us create, an interview show, it's really about multidimensional self creating with multidimensional selves. So that's the encouragement I think I would like to bring forward as well, to allow everyone to really open up to explore. Maybe what is calling us is more than just this human act, but it is a collaboration among galaxies.
That is such a beautiful share. And I think that resonates so deeply, as when we've received a vision, perhaps our human self can't always comprehend, the magnitude of that which we're, co-creating. And it's in the act of saying yes and, following our heart that we were able to witness and, expand into all that's there, and, all the energy and the support that's available. So it's so beautiful. I really believe that all of the visions that we are gifted, we have the capacity in some way, shape, or form to bring forward, even if it's, something that we've never done before. It's, even if it requires growth or stepping, especially most of them, require a great deal of courage and stepping out of your comfort zone. And yet, the journey forward is such a gift, and there's so much to be revealed in the process.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because of my experience and what sounds like of your experience, and I know of your experience too, we follow those seemingly, semi-conscious breadcrumbs initially, right? We follow that because if there's something, beyond the scope of the personality complex, beyond all the layers of what we've been programmed into and what we're participating into, is that omnipotent wisdom, eternal wisdom center of our hearts. And it beacons out, and, and it sends the message, and it, moves through all layers of density to say, hey, and it directs us, right? So initially in a more unconscious way, until it becomes more and more and more conscious, as per our unique blueprint here. And oftentimes what I've noticed, and I love it, because it's like the gift of this life here and this experience it's like, it's an infinite gift, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. It really is, because the more and more and more we allow ourselves the courage and, you know, to move through uncharted waters, to move through the unknown, to follow that heart and nothing else in our programming, our environment suggests that it's, you know, the right choice or the sane choice or whatever, you know, the titles have been placed upon. As we do that, and as we move through and we embody more and more and higher bandwidths of our consciousness, our clear consciousness, our greater awareness, you know, as source, and then we can look back, because everything's happening simultaneously, and that becomes more of an embodiment than an intellectually understood or accepted concept. And then we start to see all the layers of profundity and magnificence and how everything was divinely and perfectly, every single moment of our, you know, experience here and other existences, so divinely and perfectly orchestrated. And we can look back on it, you know, into the quantum field, into the quantum fabric of our own hologram, and be like, oh my gosh, like, you can't, you know, like, good job for you know, unconsciously following the breadcrumb and doing that and having the courage. And like, what, how did I even have the courage to do that? Right? It's like that our highest self is there, like allowing for the free will and the choices to be made, and the guiding light, and knows when to be like, whoop, let's ramp up the heart frequency a little bit, because she's steering off path, you know. You know, but we can, it's like, wow, it's all so incredible, like every single moment, you know, and looking back on it and seeing the beauty in it, and what, you know, and it's humbling at the same time, because as you're embodying more and more, as you're creating the space, right, to embody more of these higher levels of your consciousness, your highest self, your oversoul, then you start to realize, to what you're sharing, like, hold on a second, you know, and through the lens of what we most, you know, have become most comfortable with or knowing of 3D, this is a galactic retreat, or this is a, you know, a group connection field, or, you know, a class. But then as you start to embody more and more, you start to get the fuller scope, like, oh, okay, wait a second. This is reaching out on ways and waves of huge, you know, expansion and huge reach. And all of these things that are taking place here, you know, and we're experiencing more linearly, are working into all different layers and levels of the field, the unified field of consciousness, and opening pathways and doorways and systems for other people, you know, unbeknownst to them, unbeknownst to us, but not unbeknownst to our highest selves as source, you know, which is more and more and more becoming the mainframe of operating system, the more we allow ourselves to surrender into following that heart space and creating more. And and it's just so eternally fascinating, the layers of that, the layers of our multidimensional reach, you know, the layers of awareness beyond linear conceptualization and the veils of illusion. So, you know, a lot of us have been programmed to feel like, oh, who am I? You know, who am I? And how much significance can this talk be, or this, you know, the intention of this be? But really, we're all one, and we're all working together as a system, you know, and all of our thoughts, our words, our actions, our feelings are contributing to the collective consciousness and the multiversal consciousness. And so yes, the more we step into it, the more we align our intentions, the more this unified field and law of one is able to return. And I love that you're holding and embodying and being, you know, your infinite creator self, and holding a space for others to be able to step into that. And so honored and grateful for your presence and service here.
Yeah, thank you. What a beautiful transmission. I while you were saying, I just started to feel this emotion, and I feel like I feel probably many of us have ever experienced this is that, you know, exactly what it is that I'm here to do, or who am I here to be. And of course, when we get, you know, we have to live in human life, and not many of us have the luxury of, you know, infinite money, although we say we are infinitely abundant. But a lot of people's reality are just not so comfortable, shall we say. But I think it is really part of our responsibility to, I mean, it's a heavy word, responsibility. It's really part of our calling to feel into that, you know. If I ask myself often, like, you know, if I'm going to die tomorrow, you know, or next week, what would I miss? And although I do not have the full picture of my mission, of my soul mission, as in the title of my first galactic retreat, I just feel like I cannot let myself leave this planet, this lifetime, without doing what I said I want to do. And I think it's also part of my job to find out exactly what I say I want to come here to do. So it's almost like, you know, like this dance between being very human, very 3D, versus being very open and expanded. But then how do we merge these two into this realistic life? Like, we are not here to sit in La La Land, because, you know, I don't know how, maybe some people can just manifest a bunch of cash in front of us, but it is really about how we can really calling in all this energy, resources, this connection, this power, this creator power, creation power within ourselves, to deliberately create, you know, doorways and opportunities and connections, and, you know, to keep asking, like, you know, if I have very limited time, what would I just happily go, or what is it that I came here to experience, to be of service of? So I guess, so that is my, you know, like, constant wondering of myself. And that is why sometimes it feels harder not to do what I'm being called to do than just, you know, focus on the discomfort of, you know, worry about the human life. And that, although, you know, having said that, I have, you know, struggle, and, you know, I think Brooklyn knows that I struggle very often, like, oh my God, what happened? But it's about reaching out for support, right? This is our path forward.
Yes, absolutely. Because, you know, I really believe, you know, so deeply that our courage and activating our mission and, you know, and sharing our gifts has a ripple effect beyond what we can possibly imagine. And, you know, it's like there's people that are watching and just so inspired and uplifted. It just has such a, you know, a reach beyond what we could possibly imagine. And even our auric field gives permission for others, and that is, you know, activated through our own remembrance, our own, you know, embodying more of our oversouls. And so it's just, it's what you're sharing is so exciting, because I feel like it provides this opportunity for all those listening to really explore what lights you up. And really, you know, it is a quest that we're on, of, you know, discovering more of who we are, why we're here. I believe that everybody has, you know, a distinct purpose, and that evolves over time as we evolve. And so, you know, I feel like being in that place of joy and curiosity, and feeling like, you know, what you're creating or what you're exploring is, you know, related to what you're here to do in some way, shape, or form. If you have that, you know, resonance, then, you know that you're on the right track. You know, you know that you are really, you know, tapping into something that your soul deeply desires to do and explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Again, it's just the authenticity of sharing and emotion and experience, the transparency that is so present in all the layers of your sharing that are brought forth is such a grand and omnipotent invitation, because we're all going through so many layers of this, right? It's it does require a lot of courage. It does require a lot, of presence and acceptance and letting go of systems of judgment and letting go of systems of limitation. And yet, when we do, life brings forth and magnetizes, experiences and beings and feelings and, beyond our scope of what we could have ever imagined as the possible outcomes to us stepping more into who we are and why we're here, right? It's like, and so, but yet, again, it's the merriment, it's the embodiment, it's the melting in and melding in of the acceptance of the egoic mind, the acceptance and the embrace and the celebration of the egoic mind, the personality, the uniqueness of that, while bringing it into a more harmonious, operating system, whereby on the forefront of our experience of our creation is our eternal self, right? Our source self, honoring the nuances and the layers of the personality and the egoic mind, and the many moments of like, along the way, right? And so, yeah, it's like, even in this conversation alone, there's a deep witnessing of that taking place and more expansion taking place. I can feel it. I can see it in the quantum field for each one of us here speaking, for each one who's gathered. We're here together. We're here together going through this. And I was even saying right beforehand with Emily, I'm like, oh, great, I'm crying on a Tuesday morning. Yay. I was having a little cry. I was like, oh yeah, I just really need to let that, because it's intense, to step in and have the courage to remain unwavering in the knowing of who we are and our intention, right? When the layers of what we've brought in our ancestral lineage, the collective lineage, there's lots of polarity and duality that expresses itself the more and more you embody your highest light, your highest frequency as source. And so, it's like, wow, okay, I'm just going to embrace this. I'm going to embrace it with gratitude. Where's the wisdom in this? Where's the growth? Where's the expansion? And I feel like it's from that whole continuum of to know thyself, to embrace thyself, to love thyself, right? That we get to, create more. And that's where the space happens, right? The space doesn't happen, or at least it hasn't happened for me, by hunkering down and, or like shoving things about myself that I don't think are worthy of creation or expression, and then only highlighting the things that, have become known to be. Nope, I'm going to get in there with the flashlight. We don't even need the flashlight anymore. I'll just say that the world, the universe, our existence here has become a flashlight, and it's like, wakes us up in the middle of the night, wakes us up in the morning. It's like, yoo-hoo, you got some things to work on. It's like, holy moly. But yeah, that's it's the embracing of life. It's the embracing of each moment, that creates through us, as us. I mean, that's part of the creation, right? It's all of its creation. Yeah.
I love that so much. Yeah, and I really, really believe that self-love is such a key ingredient. And Rayanya, I know that you are sharing so many beautiful talks and helping people with this topic around self-love and to really open up and and to love on a deeper level all parts and aspects of the self. And I also wanted to explore more about the galactic retreat for anybody that wants to tune in. We will leave the link in the chat here, but if you could share a little bit about some of the highlights from this week.
Oh, yeah. So we started yesterday on 12/12, and it's almost like a perfect, I don't know. So I'm guided to, I do not pick the day on myself as a human self. So basically the days are all guided. And we started the retreat with a Jinky reading from Peter Tan, and he is versed with astrology, Jinkies, and all this um alchemical wisdom as well. So it's quite fascinating to really begin the retreat, sharing, bringing to light what are the current energies are about, and what we have been working through collectively. And I know everyone here is, profound beings that you have been going through a lot of healing work, and it is really also serve as a encouragement to see, our healing work will come as a reward as we're moving forward into this even more auspicious energy and auspicious time. And yeah, and then this retreat actually very fascinating. We have like 3 sound healers, sound alchemists from different disciplines, I would say. So we have opera singer, crystal ball singer, and we have chanting singers, and also like intuitive, multi-dimensional sounding. On top of that is the channel. So it feels very like we are everybody gathered together to share their wisdom and their life experience, and all of us basically are channeling in our unique way and frequency and perspective, or bringing together what it is that we could embody or we could integrate in our daily human life at this important and potent portal into 2023 and beyond. And it feels really huge that all this photon energy, the plasma that is coming through, and we are really being supported and nudged to open up even further to our true I am presence and I am source self. So yeah, the speakers this time is very different from the first time, yet it actually brings like a different flavors of knowledges and wisdom and tools to support everyone.
Yeah, it feels huge. The energy of it just feels, and as you're bringing it in, I can feel the shift of energy in our transmission and co-creation together here, representing that of the galactic retreat. And so just to be clear to everybody that's here, so it's begun. It began yesterday, and it goes through until is it the 22nd?
It's 27, and then there'll be replay time. So basically it goes all the way through 30th of December.
What a beautiful way to hold, high vibrational frequencies and open-heartedness, and that, holding the space for people that feel guided to connect and to participate in this retreat, to navigate through, what collectively tends to be a tender time and all sorts of things time, right, of the holidays, right, with family and things, and then add to it all the layers and levels of what's taking place, on a astrological level and, multiversal level, et cetera, right? These energies that we opened up and spoke of at the beginning. So, so for one to participate, it's not too late. They can jump in now, they can participate, they can connect. They have the experience of seeing, tell us a little bit more logistically, please.
Oh, right. So well, every day everyone who signed up will receive an email with a short summary from me, and then they will have the time to watch the interview for 2 days. And then, so if you miss, if we signed up, halfway through, you could always have the opportunity to watch the interview the day before and the interview of the day. And at the end of the retreat, there'll be like unlimited time. It's right after the Christmas break. So you can binge, watching, or just pick the one that you resonate with and just to watch again and again. And I wanted to say that this time, I think I had teared up at least in 5 or 6 interview of them. And I can just feel into that the sharing, the level of the conversation goes very deep, even though some of them are the wisdom, probably, things that we have learned on our spiritual journey. But I feel like the words come through with different frequency from different speaker with different intention, under this galactic retreat. It serves as a very powerful transmission. So I almost feel like each of this conversation is a transmission, either is to soothe your heart or to open, new possibility, or really just to allow us to untangle, what is going on with family, with our, path on our path. Yeah.
Yeah, what a beautiful gift to self and to everyone, right? Because anything that we participate our consciousness into is, ripples out into the field of the unified field of consciousness, right? So the more we gift ourselves this opportunity to expand through these speakers and through all that is offered in it, everybody in our lives and, that we know of, and then everybody that, within existence, is able to be touched by our participation in it. So we are so excited for the Galactic Retreat, for you, for this omnipotent time that we're in.
Thank you so much for your heart, for your authenticity, for your vulnerability. It's just such a pleasure and a gift to connect with you in this way.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us and connecting. Are there any parting words or things that you'd like to bring through to share?
I just wanted to share that, remember that we are all here to be the full expression of ourselves, and just by being ourselves. I know many of us hear this 1,000 times, but really when we are truly being ourselves, like Em says, our auric field shifts, and then we are really opening up possibility for other people. And very often we don't know what impact we are creating for other people because we never spoke with people. And so I feel like it's really an invitation just to trust that, when we are being ourselves, when we are having a good time, when we really allow us to do what lights us up, that is when we are expressing, that is when we are serving our purpose, being our purpose. So
beautifully said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much love to you and to everyone tuning in. Look forward to seeing everyone next time.
Love to all, and many blessings. And Rayania, again, thank you so much, and thank you for the gift of the retreat, and we will be there and witnessing and supporting. So
thank you. Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you, Emily. Much love.